Hello everyone, welcome to today's news starter. Before getting into the important topics of the day, let us have a look at a practice prelims question. So it is a statement-based question. In the recent times, statement-based questions are given importance. They have been increasing in number a lot. 3 statements are provided and they have asked how many of the above statements are correct. The first statement is Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas introduced the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, which is a correct statement, and this is one of the flagship programs of the government, so you should be knowing about this. It provides free LPG cylinders to below income households. So in such cases, we should be very careful. They provided free LPG connections. They did not provide free LPG cylinders. Cylinders are provided at a subsidized rate. So this statement is wrong. Under Ujjwala 2.0, 1 crore additional connections were targeted and they were achieved. Actually, they were achieved even before the date of before the date the target was supposed to have been achieved. So this 2 statements are correct and statement 2 is wrong. So only 2 statements are correct. Aadhaar linked pay for Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act scheme. So according to the Manrega scheme, 100 days of paid employment is provided for below poverty line households in the rural India. In the recent times, what happened is a lot of problems were happening with respect to payment for Manrega workers. There were several complaints that the payment is not done on time and the payment is getting diverted to some other account or payment is getting diverted to some wallets, digital wallets, etc. So the government has come up with a plan. Let us link Aadhaar with the bank accounts and let's link it with the Manrega payment. So whatever payment has to be done, it will be done directly into the bank account. So for this, what are the process we will have to understand. The Aadhaar details of the workers will be seeded to their job cards. So every Manrega worker will have a job card. So they will seed the Aadhaar details into their job card. First thing, payment will happen from now on to all the Manrega workers only through Aadhaar based payment system. No other kind of payment will be done. The third point, the account must be seeded with the customer's Aadhaar number and it will be connected to the National Payment Corporation of India's mapper. This is known as the mapping system. So all online payments happening in India has been taken care by the National Payment Corporation of India. And this step is step in which seeding of a customer's Aadhaar number to the payment system is known as mapping. This should be known from prelims point of view. In case a customer has multiple accounts, then what will happen? Whatever is the recent account, the money will get transferred to that account. So these are all the techniques we are including. Now, whenever we talk about online payment, whenever we talk about Aadhaar based payment, UPI, etc., one concern is always there, that is privacy. In Aadhaar linked payment for Manrega workers, again, the same kind of issues will persist because in India, mass linking of Aadhaar with the job cards happen. In such cases, we need to at least inform people that your bank account is going to get mapped. They should at least be knowing that this is going to happen. So a recent incident, if you see, such incidents can be used in mains examination when you are mentioning the concerns. In Jharkhand, at least bank accounts have been mass mapped onto the Aadhaar payment service, but it was done without any consent from the people and without any eKYC norms also. Know your customer norms. So these kind of things were done by the government itself. In such cases, there are huge vulnerability when it comes to online payment mechanism. Recently, a bill was introduced by the government, that is Broadcasting Services Regulation Bill 2023. So this bill is very important because it tries to regulate the OTT platforms also. because it tries to regulate OTT platforms, this should be read in a very detailed way, because over the top platforms and their regulation has been a big concern for a very long time. So this is the bill which is trying to do the regulation. It is replacing the Cable Television Networks Act, which was there earlier, which is still there, and it is taking care of all kind of broadcastment. At present, the broadcasting system itself has changed, so there is no use for this old act. So according to the new act, new bill, what are all the things that are going to happen? First one, there will be mandatory registration. Any online broadcasting service should mandatorily register with the government, only then they can do any kind of broadcasting. Second, content evaluation committee will be set up by the OTT service itself, not by the government. And they will take care of self-regulation. Whatever regulation has to happen, they will take care on their own. And apart from this, a three-tier regulatory system will also be built. Be very careful in reading such bills. A little complicated, but you need to know it completely. Which services have exemption? Prasar Bharati or parliamentary channels are exempted from the regulations because they are coming from the government itself. The broadcasters will have to classify their own content into different categories on their own. For example, movies, web series, and different genres of web series or movies. All these categorization should be done by the broadcaster themselves. And the bill also requires to implement access control measures. That is, if a OTT platform is going to broadcast a content which should be restricted, not open for everyone. For example, adult content or children's content. So in such cases, we need to go for some restriction. In such cases, what the bill is telling is the OTT platform should themselves come up with a mechanism to control the access of restricted materials or restricted contents. The guidelines to address need of persons with disability was also discussed. And then the greatest thing in this bill is a disability grievance redressal officer will be appointed by the central government, so that if any person with disability has any problem or complaint with a OTT platform, that can be taken care of. There will be a broadcast advisory council, and they will take care of the implementation of all the regulations given in this bill. They will check whether the implementation is happening properly or not. And the most important point of all is the government, even though the government is telling that the OTT platforms can regulate their content on their own, when it comes to sovereignty or integrity of India, security of India, friendly relationship of India with any other foreign states, or maintaining public order, decency, or morality, the government can undertake prohibition or regulation of any content of any of the OTT platform. So these are all the points, very important. Usually they don't ask such things in prelims examination, but for mains usually such points are important. The decennial census had to be done in 2021, but it got delayed because of the COVID scenario. What exactly is decennial census? For prelims examination, such topics are very important. The census itself means collection of data, compiling of data, analyzing the data, and publishing. What kind of data will we record here? Demographic, economic, social, and this will be restricted to a specific population. The decennial census in India is carried by Office of Registrar General and Census Commissioner, which comes under Ministry of Home Affairs, and which act is taking care of this? The Census Act of 1948. All the facts mentioned here are extremely important. Usually, when we talk about the decennial census, it happens in two phases. The first phase is housing census, where the census officials will try to understand how many houses are there in a particular location, what is the data of the houses, what kind of houses, what kind of economic scenario exists in that particular place, these kind of things. The second phase talks about the population, education, religion, economic activities, all the social economic and cultural things comes under the second phase. So these two things should be well known. Years are very important when we talk about decennial census. First time census in India happened in 1872, and the first synchronous census happened in 1881. Synchronous census means census throughout the country at one go. That happened in 1881. And socio-economic caste census was conducted for the first time in 1931 only. Socio-economic caste census means trying to understand the demography, the social, economic aspects of the population, along with caste data also, so that we will get to know what kind of caste communities have achieved what kind of development. These are all the basic details you should know from prelims point of view. Some important points for mains examination. Recently, this topic has been discussed regularly in news, that is high fat, salt and sugar. High fat, salt and sugar food are causing a lot of health problems in India. So whether we should implement a certain tax to this HFSS food so that people's consumption will reduce. So recently Niti Aayog gave a gave a study in which they have told that if a certain tax is implemented on such food items, consumptions will decline. So certain data you need to know in order to write an answer if you are getting a question related to this in your mains examination. In mains examination, health related topics can be asked. So if you are getting a question on non-communicable disease or livelihood-based diseases, you can use these points very well. So certain points, you don't have to remember each and everything. Certain points I will explain you. You just need to note it down and you can use in your answer. At present, the government has implemented 28% GST for sugar sweetened beverages. Apart from that, a 12% cess is also been implemented. Whereas for HFSS food, it attracts only 12% GST. So this is not good. Even for such foods, high amount of taxation should be there so that people will reduce their consumption. The global average consumption of sugar is just 22 kg per person per year. In India, it is 25 kg per person per year. This clearly shows that we are consuming more sugar, which is resulting in livelihood diseases such as diabetes, hypertension, etc. So free sugar consumption in India is 5 times the WHO recommended threshold level. In such cases, it is very clear India has to implement extra taxation. So consider this scenario. If for HFSS product, let's say there is a product with 100 rupees base price. GST is 12%. That means the consumer will get this at 112 rupees. If they are implementing taxation, extra taxation and extra cess, it will go until 142 rupees. This clearly shows that it will act as a barrier for people to purchase such products. Right. Main question of the day, financial inclusion of the general population, even though beneficial for the economy, exposes the people to several cyber security issues. It's a 10-mark question. You need to evaluate the given statement. Financial inclusion is really good because people will start using banks. They will start getting loans. They will start getting interest from the money they have, and digitization of economy, etc. will happen. However, cyber security problems will happen a lot, especially financial fraud can happen, spamming can happen, collection of data can happen, loss of privacy can happen. So you find out the things which you can write in answer, list it down and finish the 10-mark question. A prelims fact which you should be knowing, generally weapons, missiles, uh, stealth, destroyers, ships, etc. are usually very important for your prelims examination. They will get they may ask questions related to this. So recently what happened, the third vessel of P-15B project, which comes under Vishakhapatnam class stealth guided missile destroyers, was included in the Indian Navy. The name of the third vessel is INS Impal. Why this is very important? Because it was the first warship to be named after a city in northeastern part of the country. So why this P-15B project itself was introduced? It was introduced in order to bring in stealth missile destroyers. Stealth missile destroyers mean high-speed ships which can destroy the missiles, which can track down the missiles and destroy the missiles. So this will bolster our principle of Jal Mev Yasya Bal Mev Tasya. That means one who controls the sea is all powerful. That is the motto of Indian Navy. We are on track to be a 170 to 180 ship Navy by 2028. That is a target Navy has given. The ship boasts a high level of indigenization. So this particular point is also important. If you are getting a question on this based on statements, you can get a question or a statement related to this. This was the first warship to be named after a northeastern city. And second, they can give this. The ship boasts a high level of indigenization, that is about 75%. So whenever you're reading such topics, you need to concentrate on these specific things which can be used in the statements. That will be all for today. All the best. Study well. We'll see you tomorrow.